Nancy Pelosi called for something that we've never heard of before. Our state and local authorities may arrest federal agents if they break California law. And if they're convicted, the president cannot pardon them. San Francisco police arresting ICE agents for enforcing the law? I'd like to see San Fran PD slap cuffs on Homan's boys. I'd like to see that. This is Civil War type stuff.
Pelosi got a letter today from Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. So did Brooke Jenkins, that DA in San Francisco. We told them, preserve your emails, preserve everything you have on this topic, because if you are telling people to arrest our ICE officers, our federal agents, you cannot do that. You're impeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me, because we will charge them if they are violating the law.
You have Democrats in New York City, for example, encouraging the rioters who are assaulting ICE officers, removing criminal aliens from their communities. You have Democrats trying to create tracking apps to tell the criminals, the fugitives, the rapists, the killers, the cartel members where and when ICE is going to be. You have Governor Pritzker trying to get ICE out of his city to protect illegal alien monsters who are committing crimes against children, against women, instead of protecting American citizens.
We're going to stay in the United States. Let's take you live to San Francisco now. This has just come into our newsroom. These are live pictures from San Francisco. This is another ICE raid. It looks very orderly at the moment, doesn't it? This is ICE officers, the immigration officers, in a standoff with protesters. I'm not sure the description of the business or where exactly this is in San Francisco, but this is just starting to gather a head of steam there. You can see a huge amount of ICE officers there, and it looks like a growing crowd as well.
But Alex, look, millions of people did turn out for these No Kings protests. I mean, even the name is absolutely ridiculous. But Texas Senator Ted Cruz said that Republicans must take seriously the surge of political energy across the country that we're seeing. Listen to this.
Unquestionably, we should take political peril seriously. Number one, I think it's bad for America when one of our two major political parties has gotten so extreme and radical the way the Democrats are. I mean, they're a party that is unified behind hate for Donald Trump. But number two, politically, in terms of the midterms in 2026, it's dangerous. And I'm telling my colleagues, look, if the election in 2026 depends on results, I think we have a lot to campaign on. That being said, and you're exactly right, Julie, there is a lot of energy, there is a lot of anger on the left, and elections can be dangerous when one side is mobilized, is angry.
Alex, what do you make of that? Should Republicans be concerned about these protests heading into the midterms?
I think there is certainly a great deal of energy behind these protests. They're not so much organic, though. There's also a lot of money behind these protests. They're expensive. They have very nice looking props. I don't know how much it costs to buy a unicorn outfit, but I'm looking for Halloween costumes for my daughter, and they're not cheap. So somebody is funding these things. As long as they stay peaceful, I think that's great. The problem, though, is that they're not much of the time. The protests that do not get covered, that are not as fun to watch, and the people aren't laughing as often, are out in front of ICE facilities where people are throwing rocks. It's at night. People are getting in agents' faces. And that's really what the big problem is. And the Democratic Party doesn't want to see immigration law enforced. They think that cities are exempt from that. They think that just because local officials declare something as a sanctuary city, that they are immune from federal law and they can just let people stay in this country forever, even though the American people clearly do not want that and want more people to go home.
Yeah, well, you mentioned some of the protesting and then some of the people that get quite violent. We've also seen protesters openly call for the president to be killed. These are some of the protesters that took to the streets as part of these No Kings rallies. Take a look.
There was a poll that just came out that said 50% of more left-leaning or Democrat Americans say that it would be justified to kind of unalive or kill Donald Trump. What would you say to them? Do you agree with them? Do you kind of tell them to pull it back? What do you think?
I fear I would agree. Yeah, I do agree. I feel like, I don't know, it's like a really hard topic, but also I understand where they're coming from. It's, yeah.
Knowing how he's been. Hey! You ever heard about
Now, Emily, that last woman making that gesture was Lucy Martinez, just, of course, 1 month after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. She is an elementary school teacher, and looking at some of the viral reactions we have seen, plenty of people celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder and some of those disgusting comments that you just heard, and people and some of the extreme people taking part of the No Kings protests, calling for violence. I mean, some of these people, they're teachers and they're professors, Emily.
You know, if a conservative event, if a Trump rally had some of the signs that we saw from No Kings rallies over the weekend, there would have been a complete media circus, because there actually really were numerous instances of the one that we just saw, the example that we just saw, the teacher gesturing towards her neck with the gun symbol. There were examples of people, calling Stephen Miller a Nazi and saying Nazis must have been killed. And if the shoe were on the other foot, if that were something that a group of conservatives who had gathered in largely a peaceful fashion, but with people who were also saying that, the media would have completely melted down over it. Especially a month after a major political assassination, a historic political assassination. So I think we saw another glaring double standard on display on Monday when the networks came back and covered what happened over the weekend.
And we're seeing this rise of left-wing violence. So far in 2025, incidents of left-wing violence have risen, while those from the extreme right, I should say, have plummeted. Analysis by the Centre for Strategic and International Studies shows that left-wing violence has risen in the last 10 years in the United States. The number of terrorist incidents involving left-wing extremists so far this year puts 2025 on pace to be the left's most violent year in decades. Alex, can I get your thoughts on why this is happening?
It's a really good question. And as a pollster, I wanted to try and explore what's going on there, particularly with the ICE raids, because that's where a lot of the justification seems to be coming from right now. And so we put a question in our last poll, it's released now, about when you see something like an ICE raid, when do you think it is acceptable to go beyond peaceful protests, even if it means breaking the law? And about a quarter of all Americans said yes to that question, that they would go beyond peaceful protests. The vast majority of people do not want to break the law. But among Democrats, the results were really interesting, particularly young Democrats, 44 down to 18. They were plus 15 net on that question, which means 15 percentage points more than negative. Young Democrats said they would be willing to break the law. Older Democrats, older than 45, were negative 42 points. And so this is the crux that I see in the disagreement with the Democratic Party today. Young Democrats want to mix it up with people. They don't see a lot of value in these norms of nonviolence. They think that embracing a little bit of violence is fine. They're not worried about a slippery slope. Older Democrats, they want to go to those No Kings protests, and when they're done, they want to go to bed. They're older. They think that this is just another news story. It's going to pass. That is not how the young Democrats look at this.